Welcome to Complicated Opportunities, a Cosmere RPG podcast with a couple of GMs. This week, we're going to be talking about surges and how the surges are gamified in the system and go over each one, what all they go with as far as attributes, and kind of explain how they work. So, the chapter in surges starts off with kind of explaining how they work. So basically, your Radiant Path is going to grant you access to two surges that are wielded by your order. For example, an Edge Dancer, after they speak the first ideal, gains access to Abrasion and Progression. I do like how they've done this. They actually have blank spots on your character sheet where you will then write in your Abrasion skill and your Progression skill, and they'll be associated with a different attribute. So your score in that is going to be the ranks that you take plus the associated attribute. So whenever you're using surges, you'll benefit from how you're building your character, and it'll also allow you to make tests using those whenever you come up with something that you want to do. And I'm going to turn it over to Irving to go ahead and kind of talk through like how that works and what that looks like in the system.
Yeah. So when you make a test with your surge, it's like any other skill. So you have a set number of points that are your sort of training in that skill. And with it, you actually get some scaling in the size of the effect and the die size that you use. There's a nice table on page 210 of the handbook, 214 if you're using a PDF. And that just enables you to, reference things in the powers where they're like, hey, it does this die of damage. And it's like it scales with your surge skill. So like the text will say 3d4, and it's like, well, actually it's 3d surge, and your surge die increases. And in terms of like testing it, whenever you can think of a good time to use it, this will often be like a player saying like, oh, well, instead of agility, could I use abrasion? And it's like, yeah, sure, why not? Use your magic power that you've invested in. And obviously it takes investiture, so they're still spending a resource. In fact, I think they're spending more resources than just doing something physically or like mundanely is the way to say it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the cool thing is you're able to use it on objects. You can use it on yourself. You can use it against your enemies. You can attack with them. As long as you can come up with a creative way to do it. I think they even have like a little note for GMs, like use them as absolutely creatively as possible. So before we get into the surges, like I'll just kind of go over kind of the anatomy of it. I actually like this little anatomy of a surge that they have. They have it for skills as well and talents, but like it'll explain like what the surge is and what the attribute is, how it works, and then different ways you can use it. But then we actually can get into each surge has a talent tree as well. So the first one we'll go over is Abrasion. So Abrasion is associated with Edge Dancers and Dustbringers, and the skill or attribute associated to it is Speed. So each surge does have like hey, this is what happens when you activate it. These are some of the free things you can do. So for Abrasion, if you've read the books, Lift is one of the characters that uses this. So the ability you have is to skate. You can basically spend 2 focus to move in a straight line on the ground, but because you're using your abrasion, like you can slide basically as far as you can go. There's no real limit to what you're doing there. You can also use abrasion against other people and items to make them slick and harder to hold. Like you can make an area slick, so you can create like a hazard. Some of the talents though, like because every radiant does unlock the ability to use these innately, but then the talents you can get start to give you like more focused things you can do, increase the ability. So for example, like graceful skating is one of the things you can do, and when you skate and use its move free action, you no longer are restricted to moving in a straight line. Like you can get creative with it, go around objects and such.
Yeah, that would be the first talent I would want to pick up.
Absolutely. You do have to take frictionless motion first, but with that, you actually increase your movement by 10 as well. So, like, that's a great skill because you can never have enough movement, is kind of the way I feel in this game.
Oh, 100%.
And then a lot of the surge binding trees will have like distant surge binding, so you can increase your reach even if your damage die or your effect die wouldn't go that far. And then this one just sounds fun, which is Smooth Operator. Which all that really does is while you have your investiture, you're infused with abrasion and it costs you one fewer focus to skate.
Yeah,
But
that's
like,
the innate infusing that you kind of talked about.
yeah, but the fact that it's called Smooth Operator is just fun for me.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Um, and then you can also make targets slick or combatants slick, so they would then, like when you're infused with the abrasion, you can interrupt your move action, and actually with slick combatant, you can do extra damage if you attack mid movement. And then the targets, they can they can reach a point where they can't graze you, and reactive strikes against you also gain a disadvantage as well. So yeah, the abrasion has a lot of cool like movement and even damage options to make it a pretty sweet skill to be able to use. So,
Yeah,
with that, I'll turn it over to you
abrasion's really
for
cool.
adhesion.
Yeah, adhesion is a presence-based surge, and it's available to bondsmiths and windrunners. So just windrunners in the base game. Someone make a bondsmith tree for fun, so you don't, Brotherwise can't do it because they have to report to Dragonsteel. We can do it because we're fans. Adhesion is that kind of simple one. You can stick people to things or stick things to people. Uh, a little bit like all of the surges except for adhesion and gravitation use the term surge, whereas adhesion and gravitation use lashing, which is like fitting to the books, but they're just the same things. I don't know why they use lashing other than that's the term used in the book, and I don't know if that's like Brandon wasn't sure about the magic system when he wrote it or what. It's
Yeah.
just weird that these things that work the same as all the other things have different terms. My little beef there. But again, adhesion, it's lots of like binding strike, which is like you can pin someone in place. You can do it with, Okay, so very curiously, in the adhesion tree, binding strike, you can use binding strike when you hit with a ranged attack. Binding shot, you can use binding strike when you hit with a ranged attack. Those say the same thing.
See, on Demiplane, they do differentiate. There's Binding Strike, which says when you hit with a melee.
Oh yeah, okay. This is just an error in the book. All right, I
Gotcha.
wonder if that was errated or because this is the release version of the book. I have not updated it if they released an update, but okay.
I'm looking at Demiplane, and it does have Binding Strike differentiating the melee attack, and then
Well, good.
Binding Shot gives you the range. So yeah, that must be something they fixed.
Yeah. Well, that's how that works, folks. Strike is melee, shot is range, but then there's like an adhesive trap. There's obviously the distant surge binding. All those sort of things that are kind of normal to pumping it up. I do think this is one of the ones we see the most of in the book. So there's a lot of ideas for how to use it in sort of non-standard ways. Like there's nothing here that explains the stone ladder that Kaladin makes up out of the chasms. And that's something like I would be doing that all the time. Oh, hey, they have castle walls. Who cares? I got my stone ladder.
For
Um,
sure.
and then that next power is cohesion, which I will turn that over to Mr. Stoneward Kyle.
Yeah, so cohesion is a willpower based surge. So it's often known as stone shaping, which could be one of those that Brandon wrote about it in the first book and then was like, oh, wait, stone words are going to use it later. So, because that is definitely something you could easily do as a stone ward. So basically, as long as you can touch stone, you can manipulate that stone to make it solid, make it liquid, kind of whatever you want with it. One of the most fun abilities to use is Stone Spear, where you can use cohesion to basically create a weapon out of stone as long as someone is within 60 feet of you. And that's one
See,
of the
I
first
disagree with
talents.
you.
You don't like
I
that?
think no, I think it's fine. I think flowing earth is the coolest one. You are just
Yeah.
an earthbender. You are zipping around on your like rock pillar. That's so cool.
Yeah, but Stone Spear is available right away. Like
That's
that's
true. That's
you can
true.
have that level 3. So
Yeah.
like that, whereas Flowing Earth is like
Well,
the
it's
capstone. Yeah.
yeah, and it's 5 in because of the like path you have to take. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and then it's got some stuff like Memories of Stone, which is something definitely determined with the GM, but you can spend an investiture to communicate with the stone you're touching. So you can gain like, hey, with somebody, you can use it for tracking abilities, really whatever you and the GM can come up with. but it is a travel ability as well. Like you can use tunneling to spend an investiture to move through stone, as if it's through difficult terrain, but then leaving a tunnel behind you. You can use sinkhole to kind of make people immobilized. You can actually, the one they call true stone shaping, where you can intricately and extensively shape stone without using additional actions or time. So it does make it a little quicker. Unbound cohesion, which is cool. A lot of these talents, like you can't really use them on anything alive or invested at first. There's like a capstone talent to get that, because in the books it is much more difficult to do something on somebody that's alive versus an
Well,
inanimate object.
and that's
Uh,
reflected here. It takes 4 ranks in cohesion to get unbound
yes,
cohesion.
yep.
That's so what? That's tier 3, right?
I think so, yeah, because it's
Yeah.
2, 3. Yeah, tier 3. So you're looking at, like, when you're around level 13, 14, 15, like towards the top end of leveling up. Um, and yeah, then Flowing Earth, where you can shape the stone beneath your feet and push yourself in any direction up to 5 feet times your ranks in cohesion. So, like, if you're at 4 or 5 ranks, I mean, you can move like 20, 25
20 to
feet,
25 feet. Yeah, that'd be
which is pretty
sweet.
sweet. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, true stone shaping. It says intricate and extensively shaped stone. Would you let me just like pour creme slurry into a lock and make a key?
I mean, I don't see why not.
Yeah.
Like,
That's my thought is like, oh, I like this is the ultimate lock picking ability.
well, because when you go down to the further, because like in the handbook they've got the little like abbreviated explanation of the talent in the tree, and then a longer one. Like it literally says you assert your will on the stone, molding it into complex shapes with a mere command. And even says you can do things like lower elevation, form walls or pillars, create or remove difficult terrain, create intricate shapes or images. I mean, that sounds
Yeah.
like a key to me. So,
Yeah, I just think that would be kind of cool.
oh, absolutely,
Obviously that's I mean, that's not too bad. That's 4 talents in and only requires rank 2. So if you
yeah,
wanted to be the cohesion master, you could get that
yeah,
early tier
absolutely,
2, just considering it's a radiant path.
yep.
But
So now we'll move over to one of your favorites. We'll go over to
yeah,
Division.
division. This is part 1 of how to be a dragon. Uh so division's an intellect-based skill, and it is most definitely a combat-oriented one. The first thing you can do with the surge is touch someone and deal 3d4 damage. And if the damage reduces them to 0, they crumble to dust and die. Uh, it's just big and flashy, and obviously, so that 3d4 scales with your surge ranks. This is an example of that. Stone Spear's another. Um, and it's all about just making yourself more deadly with division of these talents. Bodily decay lets you spend an opportunity to force a target to suffer an injury. So if you're like an agent build that focuses on generating opportunities, you could just kill somebody. Uh,
Basically.
Kyle's been victim of that once or twice.
Possibly.
Um,
Might have taken out one of my bosses in like an immediate hit.
yeah, I think you should have found a way to rule against that just because it was anticlimactic.
Yeah.
Um, but then 3 down, my favorite talent, Gout of Flame. Spend 3 investiture to make a division attack versus physical of each target in an area 1 size larger than your normal. This is just you. I mean, it's a Gout of Flame. It probably comes from your hand, but you could imagine it coming from your mouth. You're just Uncle Iroh, the Dragon of the West. Uh,
Man, now I want to
and
watch Avatar again.
oh man, Avatar's great. But with that, you also can like you can get some talents to reduce the action cost of your division skill. So you can get a free straight up regular division surge if you are a dust. Nope, Skybreaker. If you're a Skybreaker, you can get a free touch a person, deal damage, and you can get a 1 cost Gout of Flame instead of a 2. Which, since they're different talents, you can use them multiple times in a turn. This is how you breathe fire over a whole area. You can set that area on fire as a lasting, like, environmental hazard. Yeah, it's a very exciting one for me. You can also divide materials like air or liquids, and there's a DC for that, but that's more like if you're dealing with something out of combat. Well, it says under pressure, but a non-living invested entity, roll a DC for your division skill to use it.
And do you want to go ahead
Obviously,
and hit gravitation since because you've played both a Skybreaker and a Windrunner?
yeah,
So,
that's fair. I've played both.
yeah,
Also, division is available to Dustbringers and Skybreakers. I forgot to say that. I got too excited. It's too
nothing wrong with
fun. Uh,
that.
And then Gravitation, part 2 of How to Be a Dragon, available to Skybreakers and Windrunners. This is how you fly. You can, really, it's falling in different directions, but everyone else is stuck on the ground, and you get to fall whichever way you want.
Falling with style.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's just kind of the basic things we see in the book. We see a lot of flying from Kaladin, Zeth, the Fused. It's all the things you would expect. You can increase your flying rate. You can get like an extra attack while moving while you're flying. You can have group flight, which allows, you can make your whole party fly. And you can even do that in combat eventually. Master of the Skies, which is it's that, hey, you're permanently invested with gravitation. You're always floating a little bit above the ground, like Essek Thalis for our Critical Role fans. You haven't gotten to him yet, I don't think, Kyle.
I haven't gotten to Essek, but I'm sure he's a drow, so of course I'm going to like you. But
oh, okay, you already know that. Good. But that's also, hey, you're invested. You don't have to spend with Master of the Skies. You're invested and you don't have to spend investiture to fly. That's dragon material right there, guy. Some of the other things are like infusing objects to slam them into people, which I think should deal more damage. It can deal quite a bit if you line it up right, but in the books, it's always extremely nasty.
Well, and also you can always spend more investiture because I think you can increase your surge die by doing that. Or maybe there's a talent for that. I'm always a little unclear on that myself.
I actually did not see that option.
No, that's right. It's when your ranks go up. That's what does it. Yeah.
Yeah, it increases your die, but I do feel like, well, there is multiple lashings here. Okay. To prolong the effect. Yeah, I feel like multiple lashings should also have the option to like increase the severity of an effect instead of just increasing the duration. But that's neither here nor there.
You can always roll a plot die and see what happens.
Yeah, ask to roll a plot die, folks. You need to do your part, and everyone needs to use the plot die more. I have a sticky note on my monitor when I'm playing that says, use the plot die, because it's cool, it's fun. And that's really all for Gravitation. Again, we see it so much in the books, there's not much to say. It works exactly how you think it should. And then Illumination. Kyle, take it away.
Yep, so Illumination is what we see Shallan use a lot, because it is assigned to the Lightweavers and the Truth Watchers. It's a presence-based skill, and it's basically how you can create illusions, and control them, maintain them, detect them. So you can use some of the talents here, like you can create a flash of light that can make somebody disoriented. You can use it to cause distractions, creating an illusion of yourself or an ally to distract your enemies and make them focus on that instead. You can also get a talent to do multiple light weavings. And then like spiritual illumination, where you can help one of your allies, so you can kind of buff somebody as well. And then you also can eventually get a talent that will let you maintain illusions indefinitely, which is pretty sweet as well. So there's a lot of really cool stuff here. We have seen a lot of that one in the books. But there was a guy, I actually watched one of the original actual plays that I think they did during the Kickstarter, where the High Rollers, an Australia-based actual play, did a one-shot. And I thought this was genius. This guy, when he spoke the first ideal, someone else had a shard blade in the party, and he saw how people reacted to the shard blade. So when he spoke the first ideal, he used an illusion to create a fake shard blade just to scare people off, which I thought was genius. Which is a very Lightweaver thing to do.
I have not watched that actual play because when it came out, Nikki had not yet read Oathbringer. So I was like, oh, well, you gotta do that.
You should check it out. It is a really, really good actual play. And they announced at Gen Con, actually the guy who was the Lightweaver, Jasper, had never read the books or anything and had such a blast. He's going to be GMing a actual play that they have either already filmed and just haven't released yet, or are in the process of filming. So yeah, the High Rollers seem to have really had a blast, and he must have. I got to meet him at Gen Con, because he was there for the announcement. And yeah, he was super excited because he was like, I've never even read the books. I didn't know what was happening, and I had so much fun. I've read the books, and now I'm GMing
it. That's awesome. That's sweet.
Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to that. Sorry, side tangent there. But yeah, I'll switch back over to you for progression. That way I can steal tension here in a
Yeah.
minute.
All right. Progression. Surge of Progression controls the growth and healing of living things. Its two primary effects are growth and regrowth. It is an awareness-based surge available to edge dancers and truth watchers. This is sort of your healing, but also, hey, I want to grow a crazy amount of plants and poison ivy you to a wall. Uh, yeah, it's again a pretty cool one. It has its uses. You can also I think it's Truth Watchers can use the healing portion to actually give you back focus, which in that episode I mentioned how focus is a pretty important thing, and it's nice to have a way to recover it. It's also the most powerful healing available in the game. You know, your recovery die never scales up, so you're stuck at whatever your willpower rank is whenever you want to roll a recovery. When you have 60 health, rolling a d8 or a d6 doesn't feel like a lot.
Yeah,
So having a guy, a friend come in and be like, "Hey, with this surge, here's 1d8 plus 7." I don't know if those numbers match up. Don't hold me to that. But you can get significantly more health back with progression. Although this is a game where healing is not as effective as Dungeons and Dragons or a Pathfinder. It's just not available in that way, really.
you don't really have like
Um,
healing potions and stuff like that either. So you got to
no,
take
although
healing
like
where you can get it.
I would maybe argue that you could do like a pain reel that takes away your pain kind of functions like a healing potion. It enables you to fight longer.
That's true. Or if you have like high enough ranks in medicine, you can like stabilize yourself because technically hit points in this aren't actual health. They're more your
Yeah, they're
stamina and your vitality to get you
exactly.
towards an injury. So,
The great abstraction of tabletop gaming.
yep.
Hit points have rotted us all. You cannot take multiple sword strikes. You can take a lot
Absolutely.
of stab wounds, but not multiple sword strikes, probably. I think the coolest part of progression is the explosive growth, the plant type stuff.
The plant stuff, like I think a lot of people just don't think about it.
Well, because
And
Roshar really isn't like it has some plant life, but it's we're used to Shin style plants where we have grass and trees and bushes all over. Roshar has their vines that creep and sort of hide from movement, and so you don't think of it much as a plant based world, in my
yeah,
opinion.
that 100%. So there's a lot of
Uh,
cool stuff that you can definitely do with it for sure.
hmm you can actually even revive someone. I didn't know this talent existed. Spend 3 investiture to restore life to a willing character who has died within the last minute.
Yeah, when then
That's
on
pretty
From the
nice.
Brink. Yeah, and on
Yeah.
From the Brink, you can also spend 3 investiture to because that's the talent you're talking about, right? Like you can
Yep.
bring them back from the edge of death. Is there a
It's not.
timeline
It
with
says
it?
who died is
Yeah,
what the blurb. It does not have to be. Oh, they're at 0 hit points, but still technically alive.
that's
Which
wild.
I mean, we see Nail use a regrowth Fabrial on Seth. That's another thing. There are Surge Fabrials, so you can have the progression healing potion Fabrial.
Yeah, that's true.
But again, it is used exactly how you think. It's a support skill that heals mostly, or it can be used to restrain people. You can make it better, make it cheaper, but it still does exactly what it says on the tin. And the next one is a good old Stoneward talent in Tension.
Yep. So
Uh,
the tension surge, which is a strength surge, is used by Bondsmith and Stoneward. So for as of right now in this game, just Stonewards. Again, please somebody homebrew a good Bondsmith talent tree.
I might just do
So
it.
hey, have at it. And it does a lot of really cool stuff because you can make any kind of like cloth-like material. You can use it to increase its hardness. So you can even take like if you're just wearing a regular uniform, all of a sudden you can use your surge to put investiture in the uniform. Now you're wearing plate. I even love this little clip that's from one of Dalinar's visions that they included in the book, where it says, the Stoneward came into battle with ribbons hanging from his plate, but then they began moving of their own accord, spiraled out around his fist, and became like blades themselves. So like you can use a lot of really cool stuff with this one. There's a parry ability where you can either like harden your clothing or your if you're within reach to do it with your ally to increase their physical defense. You can take an object that is within reach and turn it into a melee weapon. You can obviously get the talents that will let you pull the Stormlight back out of something you've infused, or uh, make it last longer and spend less investiture. But then, yeah, you can use the cloth mastery, which is a little like the stone shape mastery we talked about, where you can create intricate and complex objects. So then again, you could take like a ribbon and turn it into a key. Uh, that's just such a useful thing to do. You can
It's a
also
great
use
idea.
like surface tension, where you can increase a liquid's surface tension to like walk across water. Then there's like the clothsmith, where your hardened defense increases people's stuff by 4 now instead of 2. Um, and when you temporarily create a weapon with tension, it can even gain an extra D4 damage die too. But then there's fine control, which gets me really excited to think about awakening. um, because your careful practice has allowed you to selectively change the rigidity of an object's parts, allowing fine control like movement of muscles and tendons. So like there's a lot of really creative things that I can think of on that. Like you're able to basically you spend investiture to infuse an object you can control, and then it can move up to 25 feet along surfaces, perform tasks, and make attacks using your tension. And it sounds like Irving's computer froze, so I'm gonna just kind of take over here and keep rolling a little bit. Um, all right, we have a little bit of a technical hiccup here, so we're going to change the way we're explaining this a little bit, but I'm going to kick over to Irving so he can at least start talking about transformation, which is a willpower skill with else callers and light weavers.
Yeah, exactly. So that's exactly what I was going to say about it. It is your sort of classic soul casting that you see in the books. So very much going to that medieval idea of alchemy, transforming one object into another. It's easier when you're doing, a solid into a different solid. But there's a nice chart here that talks about like, oh, if you're turning a stone into clean air or fire, it's very difficult. There's the meme of like the stick that would become, doesn't want to become fire. Well, Shalon just was not rolling that DC 25 transformation check.
But I'm a stick.
She was too, yeah, exactly. The classic character, I am stick. Hopefully this doesn't sound too bad. I am on my iPhone because my computer seems to have frozen.
That sounds good.
Good. But yeah, other than that, I can't look at the talents right now. I could go run and grab the book, but that's
No,
not
we're good.
necessarily great content.
I've got it here. Like, so there are some things you can do with it, like doing some soul cast defense before your allies hit. Then you can do like a transformation test to potentially cause like a projectile or something. It specifically talks about projectiles to where you can kind of soul cast that away. You can actually get living soul casting very quickly, which is where you can attack stuff that's a living organism. Most other ones, that's pretty far down in the talent tree. This could be the very first one you take. You can also do some soul cast parrying, kind of like tension offered, blood casting, so you can like basically clear poison out of people's bodies. You also can you do have to unlock a talent for flame casting to be able to transform things into flame. But you can also attack people with it, which is pretty sweet because it almost gives you access to division in a roundabout way. You can increase the range, and then you can also, if you have a persistent transformation, if you're doing soul casting to non-living objects, you can max your DC at 15 instead of having to get into some of the larger DCs there.
I hate that talent.
Yeah, it's a little weird. A little weird.
I don't
But
like
yeah.
it.
You can also reattempt soul casting, but if you succeed, you have to spend an additional investiture because you did fail one time. So, yeah. I
How do
haven't played around
you?
with soul casting much, to be honest.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how do you feel about just reading the talents? Do you feel like it captures the vision from the book?
Yes and no. Like, I feel like soul casting in combat, which is mostly what the talents are revolve around, like we don't see much outside of Yasna in the one scene in Way of Kings. Um, the flame part is interesting. I mean, because she did basically just burn people alive in that scene, so I mean, it is there. It's
That is
probably
kind of
more.
the big scene I go to is is
Yeah.
that scene in book 1 where she turns a dude to crystal, she turns a dude to smoke, and she turns one into flame.
Yeah, the only part that I would have, my main beef with it would be just the one, if somebody was playing somebody that had soul casting, like I would have to have this chart on my GM screen. Like, just because like you can do a lot of stuff, but it's trying to remember all that would be exhausting for me. But that's all, I mean, that's also coming from the guy that like the most complicated I ever gets a paladin. So like I'm usually doing pretty straightforward stuff. I
Yeah.
feel like it captures it, but it takes some thought.
I feel like it takes some thought, and also I don't feel like you can cleanly do those things Yasna did. Like, looking at the talent tree, I'm trying to like in my head work out like, oh man, I guess we know she's a fourth ideal, maybe third ideal at that point, radiant. What is her talent build? And like they said, they're never gonna stack characters, which maybe they'll go back on, but trying to look at that, it's like, okay, what is the Yasna Kolin talent build to emulate her?
Yeah.
And I
But
don't see a
especially
clean pathway.
to be able to instantly change somebody into something. Because even with flame casting, it's like you're attacking their physical, you roll 2d4 energy damage. Like 2d4 is not going to kill somebody with a flame. Like,
Yeah, I guess you could like the extrapolation there is that they're like commoners or whatever, and she's a radiant, but
yeah.
maybe she just high rolled her transformation check.
I think they did the best they could with it, but that is such a hard thing to translate into a game, I think. And maybe let's be honest, I've never developed a TTRPG, and I don't have nearly as much experience as other people, so I might not be the perfect one to ask. But
yeah. Oh, for
yeah.
sure. And that leaves us with our last surge, which is transportation. I'm right about that, right?
Yep, transportation.
Okay. Yeah, which is
Intellect.
is that intellect again? Yeah.
Yep.
Intellect. It's available to will shapers and else callers.
Yep.
See, I can do this without a book. We're good.
I'm impressed. I would not be able to, so good job.
Well, I like the realmatic step test, so
Yeah.
like I have some memory.
Yeah, transportation's got a
that
really
tree.
cool talent tree for sure. So and with that one, like transportation, you could do a lot of really cool stuff. Like because basically you're using it to kind of bounce between realms, is how that works. Like you're bouncing between the physical realm and the cognitive realm. You can actually like observe a little more of like what types of sprint are gathering around somebody, and you do an insight test to see like what are they thinking, what are they feeling. You can sense investiture with it. You can locate someone who might be hiding by being able to peer into the cognitive realm and see like their soul represented as a flame. So some of the talents, there's romantic evasion, which is before you're hit, you can spend an investiture and test transportation. On a failure, the attack grazes, but on a success, you basically phase in and out and cause that to miss. You can spot things in the cognitive realm, as I mentioned. That is one of the talents. There's another talent that'll like make that even stronger, where you can learn an enemy's intent by testing your transportation versus their cognitive, and learn what they're getting, and potentially like gauge what they're getting ready to do based on what's happening around them. Romantic step, where you can basically transport yourself to a space within your Spren bond range. Else calling, which is being able to actually like create a portal and teleport from one spot in the physical to the cognitive realm, move through the cognitive realm, then come back from the cognitive to the physical. And then you can get talents to do that with multiple people. You have Realm Walker, which allows you to just automatically succeed. And that's like one of the capstone talents there when you're doing a transportation test. So you can ignore a DC and just automatically succeed. But then there's the one that I'm like, this could be awesome when you get really a bunch of high level Else Callers. You can, which is Else Gate. You can transport yourself and up to 10 companions to an Oath Gate or permanent perpendicularity that you have visited before. I like that wording because, like, we know they want to do World Hopper eventually. So that could be pretty wild to see how Else Callers would be able to transport troops across the battlefield.
I mean, it's only 10 people, but that's very much the, like, Legends of Vox Machina sort of like, oh yeah, we're blipping around the world, in this case the Cosmere,
Yeah.
to get these effects, which is pretty neat.
But if you got a strike team of 10 Radiants, like when you say only 10, you got 10 Radiants that all of a sudden just pop up on a battlefield somewhere. They're about to wreck house.
I guess that's true. That is absolutely true.
So, yeah. But yeah, that rounds out all the surges. So we've covered all 10, and we listed out what all orders get access to those. So yeah, I mean, that's really where that goes. I think we'll be able to start we've hit the like heavy duty chapters. We can actually start getting into like the next few chapters are things like items, goals and rewards, how to adventure, how combat works, conversations, endeavors. Like we can actually start getting into like, all right, you've got all the backstory you need and all the building you need. Like now let's talk about playing the game. So I'd say on our next episode, we will probably be covering some of the items you can get and how goals and rewards work. And then we'll finally start talking about playing the damn thing. So yeah.
Yeah,
Irving,
we're
you have
getting out of
anything else?
character creation. It's exciting. And remember, folks, this has been sponsored by Ruffles Potato Chips. No, it hasn't. Anyway, you have a good day. Thank you very much. Kyle, take us away.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to Complicated Opportunities. So let's roll the plot die and raise the stakes, and we will see you guys next week.